Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 29 of the Big at the Back podcast. We're back. I'm Tom. I'm joined by Matt. Matt, how are you?
I am good, thanks. It is, what is it, Tuesday, isn't it? I was going to say Monday because it was a bank holiday, so it feels like Monday. But yeah, it's starting to feel a bit like summer again, which is nice. The sun's out. It's been warm. Cricket season starts on Saturday, so that'll be depressing. But yeah, we're in the end game now. How are you?
Yeah, I mean, the sun's out, which is good. Cricket's back, so I don't have to see you in any more Saturdays, so that's great as well.
You're welcome.
But a little sad FPL is going.
Good one.
Oh God, I'm glad this season is finishing.
Don't lie. No, you've had a good year.
I have.
You should want it to go on forever.
Oh no, I'm done. I'm mentally checked out. Yeah, I've had a very good few weeks as well. I'm just so mentally exhausted by it all that I'm looking forward to it finishing. As are most people. It has been a chaotic and emotional and frustrating season for many. And we're going to try and alleviate that today by talking about game week 37, which is the biggest double game week of the season, except for that one a few weeks ago. So
it's the biggest one of the season that's left.
Exactly. Of the 2 game weeks left, this is probably the biggest. Well, to know. Traditionally, 37 has always been a double and has always been a bit disappointing, whereas 38 has always been kind of chaotic. I remember
it's always great.
Last year, I think I got 17 points from Bentancur or something ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, those were the days.
Those were the days. So what we can do is dive into the game week 37 setup before we'll do another podcast before the end of the season. But before we do that, let's start with how you're doing and how have your last few weeks been?
Pretty good. I think I cast my mind back to the last podcast. I feel like I was still flirting with around that sort of top million. And after the last few weeks, I'm currently sat at 344,000. So it's been green arrows all the way over the last few weeks. Wildcard went well into a good game week this week as well. So, and then ready to bench boost this weekend, along with pretty much everyone else by the sounds of it. I'm surprised at how many people do have the bench boost left. Yourself not included, obviously. But yeah, I finished this week with 107 points. And I was saved by Bruno not playing last night, which meant that Nicholas Jackson came off my bench with 16 points.
Jabby bastard.
It was all skill. To be fair, I could have been an even better with Gvardiol as my second sub. He got me 15 points on the bench last week, and I obviously learnt my lesson and benched him again. I mean, come on, Man City don't keep 2 clean sheets in a row, and then they didn't, but obviously he got an assist, so yeah.
Nice. That is a massive jump from last time. And with the bench boost left, I guess you're probably aiming at top 100k now, right? It's got to be the aim for you.
Still top 1 million.
So, yeah, last time when we spoke, I was flirting around the 75, 80,000. I don't have a bench boost left, but I am up to about 28,000. I think it's 28,557 at the moment. So, nice big jump. Kind of scared because loads of people do have bench boost and I don't next week. However, as we know, bench boost is a rubbish chip anyway. So it doesn't really matter. When I played my bench boost, it turns out I had 3 players that didn't play. So it was just bench boosting my goalkeeper points. But my goalkeeper was Pickford with 18, so I took it.
Yeah, I mean, it could be worse in that instance, couldn't it? It has always historically been probably the most underwhelming chip. I say that knowing that triple captain or quite often goes to shit as well.
Well, this season it did, because we all took Haaland for 8 points.
Yeah, was it last year or the year before when Salah went off when a load of people triple captained him? So
2 years ago, because he had the easiest double game week ever against 2 promoted sides at home, and then some people were saying they're saving their triple captain. It's like, that's just dumb. Last season it was Rashford. We always did that, and that went well.
Did we?
We went Rashford around game week 20 last season, triple captain. Do you remember that?
What were we thinking? Haaland was in the league last year.
He got 21 points. I was happy with it.
Did he? I can't even remember this.
Yeah, it was a good triple captaincy last year. This year it was underwhelming. But I feel like bench boost is always a bit like that. Last season mine went pretty well. This season mine was, 18 points, just take it and move on. But I think everyone is saving it up for this week. And we can talk about that as we go into game week 37. So looking at the way things are set up, it's quite a tasty week. So to remind you of the teams that are doubling, it's Chelsea, it's Manchester City, it's Brighton, it's Manchester United, it's Newcastle, and it's Spurs. Now, I think what we need to do is look at all of the teams doubling from, I guess, the easiest fixtures at the top of the pod of those doubling teams to the hardest fixtures. And then we can touch on some other teams with good fixtures as well, notably Arsenal, Everton, and West Ham potentially, and Luton potentially as well. So I guess to start with, the first team we need to speak about are Manchester City, because Haaland's back. He just you almost didn't captain him, didn't you?
I was close to going Isak, yeah. And what scared me was Wilson coming back and scoring. I know, obviously, they both started. And to be fair, it could have been a fairly good shout if he didn't miss that penalty. But it still would have been blown out of the water by Haaland's 4 goals. So, yeah, I'm glad that you talked me round into the sensible decision of captaining Haaland. It was the obvious choice. It was the right choice. Quite a lot of people still went Palmer. I think he was second most captained last week, but it was still like Haaland was like over 4 million teams he was captained in, and Palmer was less than 1 million. So it was still by far and away the most popular shout. So if you didn't captain Haaland, you've probably lost ground this week.
Yeah, and Haaland's always got it in him. It's like, if you try IMBQ, if you go for an Isak, if you go for a Palmer, then you need to know that you are taking that kind of risk. And we'll come to captaincy in a little bit for game week 37. But Manchester City this game week have Fulham away and Tottenham away. Now, the thing with Man City is if they win every game, they win the league, and they're probably going to win every game. I guess looking at the fixtures, Fulham away, a kind of tough side, but the training ground video came out of them flying kites in training today. I don't think they're taking it all that seriously. They are on the beach hard. And Tottenham, I watched the Spurs-Liverpool game, and it's genuine for 75 minutes. They were genuinely the worst Premier League football team I've ever seen play Liverpool. They were hopeless. I think Tottenham are a genuinely shit football team, and they are going to get absolutely torn to shreds by City. So, what would you, if you were looking at Man City, who are you looking at and why? Outside of Haaland, obviously.
I mean, just to sort of pin back on that Spurs thing as well, they've conceded 7 goals in their last 2 games to the other 2 sides in the top 3. So it just goes to show the defence is so leaky at the moment that it's impossible for you to not be tripled up on City this week, really. So obviously Haaland is one. I would say 95% people, it's going to be Foden is the second. KDB looks good again, even though I wouldn't say he looks good, he's getting returns. And when they're against a leaky defence like Spurs, he's on a lot of set pieces as well. There's no way you can completely write him out. But I think if you're looking at spreading them around, you're probably going to go a City defender just because you want 3. I've got Gvardiol as my third, like I say. So he's returned in his last 2. I think you can really take your pick of any of the defenders, but you've always got the risk of rotation, especially with them having 2 games in a week. So whoever you go for. But then again, you can say that about any of the midfielders as well. Like you've got Grealish, you've got Doku, you've got Rodri's probably the most nailed, but obviously he's less likely to get returns. So it's really hard to, I'd say, just sort of pick a name out of a hat for your third one.
Yeah, I've got Haaland, who's going to be my captain, and I've got Foden. I have toyed with the idea of going to KDB. I've got the money in the bank to go Saka to KDB, but I'm not going to do it. And maybe we can speak about Arsenal in a little bit. So for me, it's one of the defenders, and the obvious one. I think for me, it's a case of just play what's in front of you. The obvious move is often the right one, and I'm going to go Zabani to Gvardiol for this. Walker is the other option, I think, because he's nailed to start both games. You would probably imagine. If you look at Ake, Akanji, they've been the main starting two in the centre. Problem is you've got Diaz, who is coming back, and you've got Stones, who's always kind of there as well. So I don't think any of those centre backs are nailed. I think the full backs are the most likely. Gvardiol just looks like the best of the bunch. He's getting forward a lot. You know, it's a case of one or the other, and I think Gvardiol offers slightly more attacking threats. So for me, I'm going to go Haaland, Foden, Gvardiol. KDB, I don't want two midfield slots to be Man City, and I don't want to lose Bukayo Saka. That was my reasoning for not doing it. If I didn't have it, him and Foden, I would still probably go Foden because he's been a lot more consistent over the last 8-9 weeks or so. He's scored hat-tricks. He's got assists in most games. You can easily see him picking up 2-3 returns, whereas KDB, you could probably see picking up one and getting benched for the next. So, yeah, I would probably look at Foden ahead of KDB personally.
Yeah, and when you look at the two, the price as well, I think that's a big factor for a lot of people. So I think Foden's the sensible choice.
I do as well. The next team to chat about are Newcastle, who have the second best fixtures, and they have got Brighton at home and Manchester United away.
Could you even argue they've got the best fixtures?
Well, we started with City because it's City, right?
Yeah.
They are going to win. And don't get me wrong, Spurs are bad as well. But, yeah, I thought Spurs were bad on Sunday, and Man U showed me what bad really looked like on Monday. Because...
it's so funny.
Anthony Gordon at home against Brighton, and actually, before we jump into that, before we go into Newcastle and their performance, Brighton Villa, this was the one result of game week 36 I didn't see coming. And I can only assume it's because Villa are knackered. They had the Olympiacos game on Thursday, then had to play on Sunday as well. They've got the next Olympiacos game coming up. But Brighton played them off the park. Adingra looked really, really good. I wouldn't hate him as a differential.
He did look really good. I think the issue is exactly what you've just said. Villa, tired coming off the back of the first leg, probably have one eye on the second leg. So when you caveat it with that, and they're playing two sides that are in good form at the moment in Newcastle and Chelsea, I just don't think it seems a bit really out of left field for the sake of it.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe it's something, if it was game week 18, you'd do it, but not game week 37. Well, look, fair enough. Back to Newcastle then, because Brighton at home, Man U away. And let's start by talking about Newcastle assets, because we can save our Man U chat for later on. Isak, yes, like nailed on, must have. Great captaincy option for this week. Anthony Gordon, for me, is the clear standout in midfield. He's been amazing this season. Should definitely be on the plane for the Euros, in my opinion. The third one is tough. Or do you go for a third one? Because in defence, in goal, Dubravka is there, but Nick Pope is on the bench, and I bet he's whispering in Eddie Howe's ear, going, I want to go to the Euros. Let me play.
The white smoke is coming out of the chimney at St James's Park for the return of Pope.
For God's sake. Defensively, it's only really Dan Burn out of their first choice back line, right? So could you go Wilson? What's your perspective? Do you go for a third Newcastle?
I think you do, because the fixtures are really good and they're in really good form. So I think you do go for a third. If you want to be really different, you go, I would argue, Wilson, but injury record, just coming back from injury, 2 games, will he get all of the minutes that you want out of him? Do you know what I'd be very tempted by if we had confirmation that he was fit, would be Kieran Trippier.
Yeah, but because he's not.
Yeah, I know. Because it's every week, it's like, we might be back soon. He might be back soon. If they came out in the press conference and said, he's ready to go, I'd be tempted to get him in.
Yeah, I'd get him in. I'd actually get him in over Gvardiol, I think, as a bit of a different pump.
Yeah, but I think Burn's the only real third option in terms of who's actually fit and available. You know he's going to play both games. as long as he doesn't get injured in the first, for example.
Wouldn't surprise me, would it?
The way their season's gone, it would not surprise me at all. But yeah, I've got Isak, Gordon, and Burn, and I think they're the obvious picks.
Amazing. We just touched on Brighton. Shall we just get Man U out of the way now?
Yeah, go on then.
Because Newcastle's second fixture in the double is Manchester United away. And it kind of fits because Manchester United have a double, but it's probably the hardest double you could possibly imagine. It's Arsenal and Newcastle. So apart from City, they're probably the two toughest teams to play right now. And my God, the amount of space that they gave Elise and Eze in the box, like it was more than they would get in a training match when in like a 6v2 game. It was absolutely unbelievable, and it wasn't difficult for Palace to just cut them to shreds. Kobe Mainoo, great talent, but being told he can play with absolutely no responsibility means he has no defensive capability at all. Casemiro, his legs have gone. Carragher's already spoken about that. I mean, what do you make of it? Because I was surprised by how shit they were, and I shouldn't be at this point.
Yeah, it's shocking, isn't it? I mean, like you say with Casemiro, yeah, legs gone. And the worst thing about that is he's only 32. He's the same age as us. And it's like the fall off from him in the last 2 years is unreal. He has just gone off the edge of a cliff. Then you've got Amrabat, who's coming off the bench, and he's like, what a terrible loan move that's been. Mainoo, since he made his England debut, when everyone was raving about him, I think his performances have been poor overall. He's probably a case of he's being dragged down by a lot of the players around him, and there's only so much you can work with.
Or but like, not as good as everyone thinks he is.
Or there's a lot of overhype. There is always that potential as well. But like you say, that first goal, Elise picked the ball up 35, 40 yards from goal and ran to just inside United's box without being challenged. How can that be happening?
It was incredible. But then none of the players looked like they gave a crap. You had Anthony shouting at Højlund for the whole game, and Anthony was the worst player on the pitch. And he still got 1 goal and 1 assist for the whole Premier League season in his second season. And Højlund was terrible. Again, that's a ridiculously overhyped forward. It's just, I hope Erik ten Hag stays. I really, really do.
Sounds like from the reports, I think it was the Athletic today, saying that the players don't expect him to be sacked before the FA Cup final, but they're all fully under the impression that he will be gone as soon as that full-time whistle goes. A bit like, who was it when Van Gaal? No, Van Gaal before. So he took charge of the FA Cup final and they won it, but everyone knew he was going afterwards because Mourinho was coming in and they announced it as basically an hour after the game that Van Gaal would be off. It's like, yeah, cheers for the trophy, off you go. But I can't see Ten Hag beating City in the FA Cup final.
I think that will just... I have loved Erik ten Hag being at Manchester United, and it's sad to see him go. They should trust the process.
You should be cheering for United in that final, because if he does win, that might give you a glimmer of hope of him staying. But yeah, like you say, there's this rumour that Bayern want him, and it could be like a good deal for both parties. Tuchel go the other way. Who knows?
Oh, that would be so frustrating because Tuchel's really good.
Who knows? Watch this space, eh?
Maybe it's Southgate, so we can but hope.
Great manager.
So, as we know, Manchester United are terrible. That makes Newcastle assets great options for this double, and I think you need to be having 2, if not 3. Gordon and Isak are musts. The other, Burn, Wilson, I guess Livramento, if you want to be different, take your pick. Another team that have found form are Chelsea. So they have found some really, really good form. Are we overhyping them a bit, though? And I've got my opinion on this, but I want to go to you first.
I would say probably a bit. They've had a couple of easy games, basically. West Ham at the weekend were absolutely awful.
But you hit the post. Bowen hit the post the woodwork 3 times. If that's 5-3, that's... people are talking differently.
Yeah, that is. You can caveat it with that. I think either way, that they still cut through West Ham like a knife through butter. Prior to that, obviously they had the win against Spurs as well, who are, again, like we've discussed, a team out of form. They've come up against a couple of out of form sides, but that being said, Forest will not be an easy game away at Forest. Obviously, it was confirmed today that they will not have a reduction in the points that they're being deducted. They have got their fate in their own hands as well, Forest. So if they can get anything from that game, obviously that will be a great deal, mean a great deal to them in their battle for survival. And then it's Brighton away as well. The only one thing I will say is that they obviously do have 2 away games, but Palmer has obviously been in great form over the last 4 to 6 weeks. Jackson's finding goals and assists somehow as well. So yeah, I think I also noticed today when I was going on the FPL website, over the last 6 weeks, the highest scoring player of the week has been Chelsea player, someone else, Chelsea player, someone else, Chelsea player, someone else. So it will be a Chelsea player again this week.
Oh, that's a bold prediction. So are you captaining Nicholas Jackson, Cole Palmer?
It would be very bold to captain Nicholas Jackson, didn't we? Yeah, so in 31 it was Palmer. Then in 32 it was De Bruyne. 33 Palmer. 34 Mateta. 35 Chalobah. And then obviously Haaland this week. So, and all of those players play for a team that are predominantly blue kits. So there you go.
Well done.
Coming, this is the sort of content that we get out there. This is like really investigative, really digging into the numbers.
What I'm hearing is Jordan Pickford will be the top scoring player this time around.
You never know. No, it's a Chelsea player. I've already discussed this. So maybe it will be Petrovic. Will save a penalty in each game, clean sheets.
See, I don't think. I think Chelsea have been very lucky in both of the last 2 games to get clean sheet points. Very, very lucky. However, it's no coincidence, I think, that as soon as Enzo Fernandez is out of the team, they start playing better. Without him, they just look a much better side. He is a terrible footballer. I can't believe they paid 120 million for him.
I also can't figure out Madueke. I can't figure out if he's all right or terrible.
He's very, very, very talented, but a piece of shit with no discipline. He's Will Zaha.
The attitude, attitude is obviously shocking. We all saw with the penalty the other week.
He's Will Zaha. He's Will Zaha 2.0. And don't get me wrong, I actually think Poch is a really good manager for someone like that. But I think he'll be very, very, very good and then fall down the pecking order, end up leaving for a team maybe like a Watford or something. It won't be Palace like Zaha. But I think he is like Will Zaha 2.0.
Like you've gone for a team not in the Premiership as well.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah, trust me. But I think Madueke is a really nice option for Chelsea. Obviously, I've got Cole Palmer, Jackson. Now, I'm not... the issue I find with Chelsea is a lot of their success and their awesome performances have come at the Bridge. When they go away, they haven't been nearly as good. Just a few weeks ago, remember, they got absolutely trounced 5-0 by Arsenal at the Emirates. Nottingham Forest are going to be super up for it. They were good versus City. Chris Wood should have had a hat-trick. Nottingham Forest were very good. And Brighton just put in a really strong performance against Aston Villa. I'm fine on just one Chelsea, to be honest. And I'm seeing people taking a -8 for Jackson and thinking, you probably missed the boat there, guys.
Yeah, potentially. I don't hate it. I think it depends who you're going off of to get to him. It is a double. People are rolling the dice. It's the penultimate week of the season. I've got nothing against it, per se. I am tripled up with Jackson, Palmer and Petrovic. So for me, it doesn't... I am where I am at this point.
Yeah.
I think, Palmer's the obvious one. I think you want a second. I think you want a second somewhere. Where you go with that, I think if you want to be different and you want to go Madueke, but then again, you are taking 2 spots up with Chelsea midfielders.
I don't hate it, though. I think Madueke will get returns in this double game week. Probably, actually... Okay, I'm going to say something really stupid. I think Madueke outscores Palmer in this double.
I thought you were going to say something really stupid, like outscores Haaland.
No, of course not. I think Madueke outscores Palmer. He plays further forward than Palmer, but Palmer has more license to drift into the middle. But Madueke, he's getting a lot of shots and crosses in. I think he outscores Palmer in this double.
Well, I would take you up on a bet, but the last bet we did, I didn't end up too well on when
No.
Dean Henderson scored an own goal in his first game of the double game week, and then it all went downhill from there, really.
Yeah, very much so. Okay, enough about Chelsea. Let's move on to Tottenham, who have the next best double. So they've got Burnley at home and Man City at home. So 2 home games. Very, very good. The problem is, one of them is Man City, and Spurs just look absolutely dreadful. That being said, there is a glimmer of hope here. Richarlison looks brilliant. And him coming on made such a difference against Liverpool. Don't get me wrong, Liverpool had taken off their entire central midfield, and like they were basically said, "Sod it, let's put the kids on, let's have fun. This result means nothing to us." But Richarlison came on, had a massive impact for Spurs. I like him as an option in this double. I like him as a differential.
It's going to be a tricky one because obviously the first game's Burnley, a team that are fighting for survival. They need anything they can get out of this, so they're going to be really up for it. Spurs' chances of top 4 are basically dead now, although Villa have got 2 tricky-ish fixtures to finish off the season. But that being said, Spurs have also got obviously City. The other sort of thing that you can take out of this as well is that you've got to remember that City are yet to get a point or a goal in the Premier League at Spurs' new stadium. I know, obviously, the situation at the moment, you would expect that to very much be overturned this time round, but you probably would have said that the last 2 times as well.
I think this time more than ever. I think the thing about Spurs, they haven't even got the excuse of playing games. They've played like the minimum amount of games possible this season, and they're still that bad. So I just don't think they're a good side. And I think they'll get the win against Burnley, but they'll get absolutely rolled over by Man City.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I think if you're looking at them in terms of assets, I don't like you say, Richarlison, don't hate it. Son, even though he looks like he's drifting out of games so much at the moment, he still keeps popping up with an involvement. One of them, obviously, a penalty. The other one was, again, like you say, when Liverpool had taken off most of their starting 11. So, but you can never really rule him out. So I think Son's probably still the best bet, but Richarlison as well. I've got Pedro Porro in there as well, who I might as well just keep at this point because there's no point in me taking him out for anyone else.
Yeah, I feel like if you've got a Porro, you hold him, but you should feel disappointed in yourself for holding him.
He could get something against Burnley, maybe.
Yeah, like you can't rule out a clean sheet or an second return against Burnley. I think that probably not against City, realistically. But yeah, they just look off the ball. But it's also worth noting that the last game is Sheffield United away, which, that could be a really, really fun game to own Richarlison for. So I wouldn't mind getting him this week, just in anticipation of that game week 38 Sheffield United away fixture. That sounds really fun.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. Like you say, it's 38 always throws up some weird and wonderful things. 2 teams with nothing, probably with nothing to play for. Obviously, Sheffield United are already down. Spurs, top 4 hopes will probably be over by then. So it will be a matter of just go out and have some fun.
Yeah. The other 2 teams with doubles are Brighton and Man U. I feel like, just for the sake of being honest here, we've spoken a bit about them both already. It's not worth buying anyone. And if you've got players from either of these teams, just sell them.
I've got Bruno.
Sell. A lot of people have Maguire as well. Sell.
Yeah, I think Maguire's injured as well, so even more of a sell. I think Bruno could become Havertz for me.
That sounds fun. So let's actually discuss Arsenal, because I know loads of people sold all of their Arsenal on wildcard because they didn't have a double in game week 37. Since then, Arsenal have continued being Arsenal. And the one thing we can rely on this season is Arsenal defenders picking up points and Saka being consistent. It's like the only thing true in FPL this year. So I still got 3 Arsenal, and their game is against Manchester United away, which is red in the FDR. I don't think that's a red fixture, guys.
Well, how do they not update these more throughout the season? It's shocking, isn't it?
So I think for me, I'm very happy keeping 3 Arsenal, and the last game is Everton at home. So I'd rather my Saka, Gabriel, and White trio for 2 games than a lot of these double game week players for their 3 games.
Yeah, I have held on to White through my wild card, so I have got them in that respect. And like I say, there's quite a good chance that I bring in an Arsenal midfielder for Bruno, because even on a single, when it's manual away, you could easily outscore a Bruno with 2 hard fixtures in a double. So that's where my mind is heading at the moment. It would be funny though if Man United were the ones that handed the title to City by beating Arsenal.
I just don't see a world where that possibly.
No, neither do I. But football, apart. Man.
Yeah, I know, but they're so far apart quality-wise. I just don't see it happening. I see Arsenal rolling them over 4 or 5-0 at Old Trafford. I really, really do. Kai Havertz is an option, but I think nowhere near as much as Saka. I know Saka, people are like, oh, he's lucky he got the pen and 2 bonus points. No, if you watch that game, Saka was unlucky only getting the 1 goal. I've learned with Saka, if you watch him on TV, he's not that good. If you watch him in real life, he's fucking amazing. Like, he's by far and away the best player on the pitch. And I think he is so critical to Arsenal that he's not going to lose a single minute of football. And yeah, he's in form. He's on penalties. He's playing Man U away. What's not to love?
Yeah, but Havertz is rubbish, so I'll go for him instead.
Yeah, you can make Havertz rubbish. As soon as you get him, he'll blank.
Probably, yeah. And that will reinforce my worldview of he's rubbish.
But it'll ruin your top 100k charge.
It's not going to happen, is it?
The other team with a great single are Everton, who play Sheffield United at home. Now, I've got Pickford and Branthwaite. I'm going to be starting Pickford, and Branthwaite is going to be my first sub. I wouldn't mind if you had either of them, if you started them, though, and they should both be great options on a bench boost for anyone bench boosting.
Yeah, that's exactly where I am. Pickford and Branthwaite, they're both on my bench, but not that it matters. Yeah. But I'm being honest with my bench boost. So they are on my bench, as obviously they only have singles, but it's a good single, like you say. You could even, like, if you wanted to be wild, make some weird argument for bringing in not Calvert-Lewin, because that is just stupid.
You could. He's in form.
Yeah, but there's so many other striker options out there that have doubles.
Yeah. Cool. Captaincy for game week 37. So I'm going to give you 3 scenarios. And scenario 1, you're having a really good season and you're looking to at least hold your position where you are. Scenario 2, you're chasing, but you don't want to be too reckless. Scenario 3,
balls to the wall.
YOLO. So in those 3 scenarios, who are the best captaincy options and why?
I think in the first 2 situations, it's Haaland. I think regardless, I think you're only not going Haaland if you are going pretty YOLO. I think if you're trying to make up ground, it's probably Isak or Gordon. It's one of the Newcastle players. I just think they're in the best form. They're scoring goals consistently. Newcastle are just so good going forward at the moment. So I think it's between those. If you want to be really reckless, you could go for like a Saka. But going a single game week, that is just shooting yourself in the foot.
I don't know. I'm not sure I agree. I think Haaland is the obvious safe option. I think Isak is a really, really nice second option. And I know Wilson's there, but I still think Isak starts both games. In the second scenario, I'd go Isak. And in the third scenario, the YOLO, I'd go Gordon or Foden, personally. I think that's how I would look at it. If I wanted,
what about as a YOLO, Palmer or Jackson?
Well, Palmer is a really good option as well. 2 good games, admittedly both away, but it's still Cole Palmer. Jackson, you could say, possibly in the same boat. A real YOLO option would be Heung-min Son.
No, I hate that. I hate that so much.
You summed it up. He looks much better with Richarlison on the pitch with him. His first game was Burnley at home, and his second game, I know it's Man City, but it's still at home. And Man City concede a counter-attacking goal quite often. I think Son is a really underrated captain selection this week.
Do it.
Oh, I'm not in that scenario. I'm defending. I'm on 28k. You think I'm captaining Son? No.
Yes. Imagine how silly you're going to feel when he scores a hat-trick in both games.
That's fine. I would say... Oh, actually, a true YOLO would be Richarlison.
Yeah.
That's just a stupid YOLO. Or Van de Ven. So I think most people are going to captain Haaland. I expect his EO to be about 200% this week. I think you could have a lot of fun, though, if you went Isak or Gordon or Son or Foden or Palmer or Pickford.
Or Pedro Porro.
Or Pedro. Do not captain Pedro Porro, listeners. Okay. How is the joint team looking and how painful is it?
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah, I think we've given up on that, haven't we?
Yeah, we've still got that bench boost though, so we should probably use that this weekend. We need to take I think I looked at it earlier. I think we need to take a -8 to get some more doublers in because we currently have one goalkeeper. We have actually, I don't think I even made the transfer last week, so I think we have 0 goalkeepers.
For God's sake.
We have Maguire. Yeah, it's not good.
Jesus. At least we've got 2 transfers. Did we
Yeah.
have 2 transfers last week as well? No,
Yeah.
we have 1. Oh, we have 2. Excellent.
Yeah. So we need to take those 2 plus another 2 probably, bulk up with double game weeks and then bench boost.
On the plus side, our betting fund is looking pretty nice.
Yeah. Also, we have Darwin in that team as well.
Oh, for goodness. I've just checked. Our betting fund, the spreadsheet hasn't been updated since the 14th of April, but it was £1 then. Do you know
I think you can add another 20 or 30 quid onto that. I need to double check. But
yeah, let's get to 200. So next week we can go out and get drunk. Otherwise, though, this week is going to be hell. Don't make your transfers until Saturday morning, or at least until after Friday press conferences. Otherwise, good luck, everyone. Penultimate game week of the season. We're nearly there, and we'll be back to break down all of the action for you early next week.
Yeah, we will be. I was just thinking there's only one game on Sunday on the TV.
Yeah, there's 8 games on a Saturday at 3 o'clock. Saturday, isn't there? Loads and loads of 3 o'clock games.
6 3 o'clock games, an early and a late, and then it's just United Arsenal on Sunday at 4:30.
Yeah, I'm out for lunch thing on Saturday, so I'm not going to watch any of the 3 o'clock games, which of course I wouldn't anyway.
Because you can't.
Yeah, TV blackout in the UK. So I should be able to make the 5:30 Nottingham Forest versus Chelsea game at least.
I'm looking forward to that Spurs City game on Tuesday. That'll be entertaining.
Yeah. Oh God. 12:30 as well. Oh no, that's a Fulham game. It's 12:30. So it's Spurs City game on Tuesday. Oh, that's going to be carnage, and I can't wait. Right, everyone, go and have a great week. Good luck. You can find us on Twitter at Big at the Back.
Yeah, I'm at Higgins92. Tom is at TomMadden92. And I will throw in a plug as well. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. And also follow us on any of your regular podcast platforms to make sure you get notified when those new episodes go live.
How exciting. Good luck, everyone. And we'll speak to you all next week.